was really excited and honored when I was asked to speak, especially on this topic, because I think reflection, although it means many things, to me, it means looking back as a creative on your life. Oh, is it working now? Not yet? Okay. Looking back as a creative on my life is reflection every day. And I want to call this, I guess, the art of reflection of your one and wild and precious creative life. That's what we're going to talk about today. Probably everyone loves Mary Oliver, and if you don't, that is your duty this Friday, is to check out Mary Oliver. She's probably one of my most favorite poets, and continually over the course of my life, is it working now? Oh, yeah. Yeah, I don't want this anymore. Okay. Thank you, Sam. Over the course of my life, she has been very important to me. And I know that if you haven't read The Summer Day, you're very familiar at least with the last two lines. Tell me what it is you plan to do with your one wild and precious life. Queen Mary, as we refer to her in my household, she's an amazing person because she has inspired us to think not only about nature, but love and death and magic and life and creativity. And she has asked us to examine our life and reflect upon our life. So it was easy for me to think about this as our talk today. So our talk is centered around Mary Oliver's theme of reflection, because your life is wild and precious, and so are you, and your divine creativity forever. And reflection is not just about looking back as a creative. It's about trusting that right now, in this space where you are, you have enough tools to take you forward. You've done enough things that matter, and that you just trust in your personal creative process. So I want you to think about this today. I want you to zoom in on this for a few seconds. We're just going to look at it, and I want you to think, as you leave this beautiful space on this beautiful day, I want you to think about this right now. And then let it unfold, baby. Let things happen. And remember that you have a lot of truths to unlock, a lot of creative inspiration to explore, and a deeper self-understanding of yourself as a creative person. Our goal, oh, that's me when I was a kid. Our goals today, though, are we're going to talk about creative retrospection. We're going to talk about maybe a little bit about my journey in the creative realm of Columbus, Ohio. And I want to give you some tools. Like, I'm innately a teacher, I think. I'm an instructor. I'm a person who leads. I'm a Sherpa of creativity. So I'm going to leave you with some tools today that you can take to help you. But yeah, and we all need help because life moves really, really fast. This is Amy Turn Sharp. This is probably 1979. I don't know. I was a wild, feral child in southeastern Ohio. I grew up on acres and acres of land. I grew up in people would be like, my dad had a compound. Well, my dad did. And I didn't have any Sesame Street, or I didn't have anything. I just had myself and my family and my creativity. And it was beautiful there. And I still am really happy that my father lives there to this day and I can go back. But life goes very fast because I turned 600 months old, and I mean, yeah, you can do the math real quick. And I know you'll be shocked because I give off real young energy. But life moves very, very fast, and you need to be prepared to know that as a creative, you might stop yourself one day and say, oh, what have I done? Have I done everything I'm supposed to do? Well, I think it's important that we know we don't have to always be in total creation mode. Sometimes we can be in reflection mode, and we can think about what we've done, how far we've come, and what's in the future. So, I thought by now I'd be very rich and wealthy from all the creative, amazing art that I have done, all of the speaking, all of the writing. But no, I'm very annoyed that I still have to cosplay as a corporate gal by day and put on my poetry cape at night. It's really annoying, but I do it, and I do it because of these three faces. They're so cute, my sons, and they get to know what it's like to have a mom who gets to be an artist and gets to be an artist any way she can. So that is Scout and Blaze and Finn. And I hope that one day they say, my mom was so weird. They say, my mom was this, my mom was that, but my mom did what she wanted to do. And I hope that they do that. And I hope that their process that soothes their soul is something to do with art and creativity. I hope that for them. So I thought I would start with a little timeline of my creative life. We're going to talk about timelines later, and this might look frenetic, because it is, because it's my life, but I was just starting and thinking about things. I do this often. I think about marking my life on a timeline, and I say, oh, I started here, and all of these like little, dots and things represent things that have happened to me that have changed me, that have made me who I am, and their love and their death and their, wild, wild times, and their being a mom, and their, things that are important to me. And you see all this space here? Well, because I'm, 600 months old, my time this is what I got left. But it's so bright. It's so sunny. It's so unknown. And I think that light is surrounding all creative people. I think that we all have a purpose here. I'm not religious in any way, but I'm definitely spiritual, because I feel that, and I tell my children this, I feel that we have work to do here, every one of us. We have work to do. And the light that surrounds us, as artists, we also give that light back to other people. Something that I love to say when people are nervous, like I always am, even I'm the most extroverted person that you'd ever meet. Like I would take you out right now and we'd be friends, like it's whatever. But when I speak, I get a little nervous. But I try to tell everyone, you're not nervous, you're excited. You're excited about this. So be excited to share that light. And then, I love this song. So that is just to remind you that we're all human, and we've only ever done this right now. We're all doing it together right now. So the Indigo Girls were a big part of my kind of college experience, and that song is always stuck in my head. And that song has always stuck in my head forever, and I go, ha, 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 and I look back, and I go, ha, ha. And that's what we do. We just go, ha, 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 and we look back. And we remind ourselves that we're human, and we just keep moving forward. I thought I would tell you a little bit about my kind of creative journey here. I'm very lucky because I have been here for over 20 years, and I feel like I've gotten to pierce right through the heart of Columbus, Ohio's beautiful art scene. And mine started after college when I moved here. I worked for GCAC, which is an amazing, amazing place. I would give them forever kudos to helping me become an artist that I am. I worked with a couple of beautiful visual artists, Rob Jones, who's a really good friend of mine, a painter, and Sue Ann Goings, who's also a painter. And we were deployed to the West Side Boys and Girls Club, where we taught poetry and visual arts to inner city kids. I got really jazzed with Kenneth Koch, a poet who in the 70s and 80s wrote books about how he taught public school system in New York City. And I was like, I don't know how I'm going to teach these kids. Well, in about a minute, they taught me, and they taught me how to teach them. And they taught me through these books. I really, really recommend this book and others. They taught me how to, trust myself that every single one of us has a story inside of us. Every one of us has things that need to come out. And sometimes you just need someone to help you. And so I found out that that was something that I love to do. I also then decided I wanted to be a visual artist, and I was like, this is my early work that hung in City Hall. I think someone just liked me, and they allowed me in this show because I was not really prepared for how I wanted to put words and visual art together yet, but I got there eventually. Then I started to host poetry open mics, and I think that it was easier for me then. I was writing a lot. It was easier for me, though, to gather people together and not be as scared to read myself if I had a whole bunch of my friends and people in the room. And we did it at the Rambling House. We did it at Brothers Drake Meadery. And literally unknown people from the street would come to very famous poets in town and beyond. It was a very beautiful time in my life. And I'm very, very happy that I got to have that collection of people. Then I did this weird thing where I started doing typewriter poetry, and it started kind of in a bar drinking one night with a friend. I had just gotten this new typewriter, and then it kind of went through the world of my world, and I did it at parties, and I did it at nonprofits, and I did it for NetJets and corporate events, and I did it for the Summit of Greatness, and it was something that was super fun, and I still do it a little bit today. And then I did my first show. I finally found my way to being like a poet who wants to be a visual artist, and I found that through kind of hand lettering and making cool things that I learned how to do. Postcards from the Edge of Woman was one of my first shows at Wild Goose Creative, and I think they were also very, very paramount in helping me to have confidence as an artist and to also help build community. And so that was the first of many, many things I did with Wild Goose Creative and many things I did in the community. I also was able to make a chapbook of my poems with Allison from Igloo Letterpress, and it was successful, and we sold them all out. I don't think there are any more left. We should do another run. And Allison was also such an inspiration to me. We were able to teach a class together at Kenyon College. I have her in my neighborhood, so she's always been great. I was able to work with other artists and do murals all over the city. Rest in peace, the main bar, but it was a cool one. I did a collection of zines over the pandemic. I was finding ways to like soothe myself, and I made a collection of zines that turned out to be something I'm really proud of and can continue to do to this day. I also did weird stuff with like poetry balloons like 10 years ago, and my friend Jordan Fernie, who is not from Columbus, Ohio, but she's an artist, and she helped do this installation, and it went from here to San Francisco to Paris, France, so it was super fun. And I've had the great opportunity to read my work in so many places, and I call them holy places here, like Streetlight Guild, like the Ohio Arts Council, like just so many places. I feel really privileged and honored to be able to share my work. And then eventually I opened my own studio with my partner Keith, and it is an art gallery. It's also a full-service music recording studio, and we have built a community of a diverse and of musicians and artists and writers who come together and share. And all of this at Secret Studio made me realize that like I love to make art, but like really what I love to do is I love to like instruct. I love to be like a person that helps you find your magic. And I do that through helping people have old work and mining their ways, being creative. So many people, and that's some of you in the audience, haven't picked up a crayon in a long time, haven't done things that help your brain to just feel good. We make portals. We do all sorts of things at Secret Studio. I do a lot of creative, I don't call them always poetry classes, I call them like creative classes, and we do writing prompts. And I do these online too. I've been really lucky over the pandemic. I got to work with like literally people from all over the world. And a lot of my friends that I worked with are here today, which is great. But yeah, and I have a Substack that I work with every week about prompts and creativity. But, sometimes I just ask people to write for 10 minutes about how strange it is that sharks have been on the earth before trees. Or find a text on your phone that you saved, write a response to that, write it 2 ways. You are in love with this person and can't wait to see them and climb into their bed. You hate them and want them to know that they messed something up for you. These are things that I make people write, and they write them so very well. And I try to remember to explain to people that you are building an archive of you. Right now, every single one of us in this time period here, we are getting ready to leave something for others. We are getting ready to leave something for the future. And it's important to remember that you are valid in your creativity and in your art and in the things that you maybe have not done yet but want to. And as my friend Vanessa Jean Speckman always inspires me, I bought this piece and it hangs in our house. You are a living, breathing museum. And I think if you just close your eyes for a second and think about that, it's pretty powerful. And within gratitude, or within creativity and looking back, retrospection, gratitude lies there. These are my parents. I used to think that I was like, oh, woo-woo, lady, and I'd burn sage and I'd write gratitude lists in the morning, but I was just faking it. I was really still not really that person. Like, I always tried to be, but I really wasn't. And I'm real sunny, but sometimes I'm dark. So I just couldn't do it. But I would tell people I did. But here's the thing about life. And a lot of you are young. There's so many beautiful young people here today. Remember, I'm 600 months old. I have some wisdom. Life's lessons come at you as they come at you. They do not follow any linear way. And in 2018, my parents were in an auto accident and my mother died. And sorry, I thought I could say that, but it's hard. And my father lived. He had a lot of injuries, but now he's pushing 80 and he is on his tractor every day and he's great. But those were really heavy times. And thinking about how heavy they were, I sat around and, I found solace in the fact that we all know that life is uncertain and that life is we don't know what we're doing. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know pretty much anything. I mean, I think it's pretty fair if everyone raises their hand right now and said, do it with me, I don't know anything. Because we don't. So during that time, and let me tell you, it was many years of a lot of heavy grief for my family. But during that time, I realized I get to figure out what my life looks like moving forward so that when I'm 10 years older, I can look back and say, wow, I'm glad I didn't waste that time. And because my mother would definitely not want me to waste that time. So I got busy and I started to figure out what was not supposed to be in my life, what was supposed to be in my life. And I started to believe again that we, as humans are, we're very powerful and very strong. And thank you. Thank you for letting me have a moment there about my mom. It was really hard. I didn't think that would be hard. So anyways, I think that I'd love to talk about that more, but I think it makes me sad. So let's move on to fun things. Raise your hand if you love to read blogs or articles or go to speeches where you get things that you get to take home and do them in your creative life. That's my whole jam on the internet, is every day I'm looking for things that I can do. And so I thought I would collect a few things that I do in my workshops and things that I do in my personal life for us to take away. And the first one is the life timeline, that crazy thing again. Ignore mine. It's a nightmare. Make your own, though. Once every year, once every half year, make your own. I find these much more valuable than vision boards. My friends are sit around, make vision boards and drink wine. I'm I'm going to go back and I want to look at this. I want to see why. I want to see why I did this. I want some insights into my life. So I really think that this is a super simple thing. If you have families, you can do it with your family. You can do it with your kids. It's a super simple exercise that at least once a year you should do. And guess what? It gets longer, and it gets longer because you get older. It's really cool. It's a cool thing to do. Letters to your favorite person. When I was growing up in the 1900s, there was no Facebook, right? So at Christmas time, at the holiday time, I remember that my mom and dad would get so many Christmas cards, and they would plaster them up on the wall. I mean, my mom was really popular, so we had a lot of cards. But also people would do this thing, they would write a letter. Our family is doing this. We vacationed in Monaco. So whatever, it was very braggy, I thought, when I was a kid. And my mom would keep these letters, and she would stick them in the ornament box when we put the tree away. And I thought it was so dumb. But then I had kids, and I decided, oh gosh, I want to reflect on this holiday. I want to reflect on this year. So I think I made this up. I think it's a good little thing. When we would put our tree away, I would take either a Target receipt or a piece of paper, anything, and I would just jot down some things that happened that year. And some of them were sad, and some of them were happy, but they were all real. They were our life. And just like every year, you get the next year, take out your box. I'd be like, oh my God, I forgot, because we always forget. We have too much in our brains. So it's a really, really nice thing is to look back on your life over the course of a year, and you can mark it easily with a holiday box, so don't forget that. And I do it in my workshops too. Often I'll say, okay, guys, we're going to write a letter to ourselves. It's a creative letter. It can be personal. It can be about your creative journey, whatever. Seal it, write your name on it, give it to me, put it in this basket. And I will just take it away. 6 months later, 8, whenever I remember, I will take it to the post office and I will mail my students letters. And let me give you a little example of what happens. They go to the mailbox. Bill. That's my name. whose handwriting is that? It's mine! Because we never remember what our own handwriting looks like for a second when it comes in the mail. I give you, even if it happened 2 weeks later, you'd be like, but it's such a startling, amazing thing that happens when you receive something from the past that was given to your future. 12 months of journals. This is a really simple one, but like sometimes the most simple creative process tasks can provide the most fruit, I think. Raise your hand if you're way too precious with pretty journals. You're like, I buy them, they're so pretty. I mean, I literally have to, like, sometimes I just go around my house and go crack and open them up. Like, Allison makes some beautiful ones, and I've been like, you cannot be precious with your journals. Be precious with your wildlife, but do not be precious with your journals. And start today. It doesn't have to be January, but in January, I tend to get 12 journals. And I start to write them, and I start to, not be precious with them at all. I love to go to Spoonful Records, throw stickers on them. I love to make, like this says, I think, things that piss me off. Like, I just like to, really make a journal that is about me. It is about my creative process, but it's also about my personal life. And it's just a really simple way to say to yourself, I'm not going to make this precious. I'm going to make this a tool for my creative self, and I'm going to look back on this. And the most beautiful thing you can do, I think, is at the end of the year, sit down with them all, spend 20 minutes, whatever, review them. Maybe you go back and you circle some things, like you mine your own work and you say, I'd love to write about that, or I'd love to revisit that, or I need to talk to my therapist about that, whatever it is. And then take a really pretty bow and tie them up and stick them somewhere. Like, I like to stick them in this old trunk I have, and I think, God, if I'm brave enough, my kids will read this someday. I'll be a reflection of this. I mean, who knows? We don't know when we're going to live or die. So thus far, they're still there. I haven't burnt them yet. So the state of affairs. This is something that I think everyone can do relatively easy, too, is like every quarter or whenever you want to do in your life, talk to yourself. Just talk to yourself. We all have these little computers in our pockets that have voice memos. Talk to yourself. Tell yourself how you've been doing. I'm really lucky because my partner is like a musician and an audio engineer, and it's like a very ritual thing for us. We drink wine and we have a microphone. I'm very lucky, but you can literally do it in your car. And it's just...
It's a Wednesday.
We just got back from Mitchell's Steakhouse in downtown Columbus.
It was wonderful.
It was so amazing.
Come over to the mic more.
It was so great. So since the last state of affairs, what's happened?
I live here.
So it's just a really simple way to mark your life. And it's also, our children would really love to hear that. Our ancestors would love to hear this. I have such a wonderful connection to my grandparents and the videos I have of them. And also, it's just really fun. It's really fun to listen back after a couple years. We do a thing at the studio called the Love Archive, and we bring people in who love each other, and they tell stories with each other and then separately, and then we put it on a disc, and we don't let them have it for a year, and then they get to hear it, and it's pretty cool. Retros, I think this is something that, like in the corporate world where I work, we have retrospectives where it's just about kind of finding growth through what went right, what went wrong in a project or whatever, and it's not always fun, but these are fun retros I think you can do. This is like a few years ago, I realized that I had been writing on Instagram since 2011. And when I mean write, I mean I've just been doing things on Procreate and throwing them up, and I don't have any record of them. So I had an intern, and I asked him to please take all of them off the internet and type them into a Word doc that is really long. If anyone follows me, you know I throw a lot of stuff on the internet. So you know why this is important as a retrospective? This is value to me. This is something that I care about, and I didn't ever care about it for a long time. So take your things to heart, your breadth of your work. You have a body of work. No matter how small or large it is, you have a body of work, and it should be valued to you. So find a way, either like this or physically go through your things. We are hoarders as artists often. We have things everywhere in a mess. Take some time to have a retro of your art in your life. And this is a chair, and you're welcome to sit in it. Any of my workshops that you'd like. I have a couple in the next couple months. It is my desire in life to help people find out that they are all creative, and to help people find out that they are worthy, and there's so much within each of you that you have to say. So I'd love to see you. Everyone to the dance floor. I think we're going to do also, let's not forget, what will you do? I want you to think about Mary Oliver today as you go on your day and into the weekend. But I think that We would love, first of all, thank you so much for letting me talk to you about this awesome topic.